the emo children of Wilkeville found their way to this place where somehow the good people were the ones who violate every liberal principle, much more than anybody else. You know, I mean, Iran now, what's going on? I mean, before the war, like it's a civil war, I mean, it could be over in a week, who knows? But before that, I mean, what they were going nuts over was first just killing people willy-nilly in the streets, protesting. And before that, it was because a woman about 2 years ago, I forget the name, you might remember, would not wear or she was caught not covering her hair.
Masa Amini, I think. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. And they killed her in prison, and then there was mass protests, and they killed all the people protesting her getting killed.
Yeah.
I mean...
Well, I mean, this is... We should plant a flag here, at least. I mean, this is a scandal it should be a scandal left of center, that liberals in America, or liberals in the West, found so little common cause to make with the women of Iran over the last, 20 years.
And of the whole Muslim world.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
it was so clear in Iran, and it was so clear that it was so clear that if you talk to anyone in the Iranian diaspora, I mean, it's just excruciating, right? It's like these are the least confused people in the world, the Persians in America around this. And on the left, it's just
And women
crickets.
are treated shitty by many cultures. Not just...
Yeah, but not quite this shitty.
But not... Thank you, Sam. That's exactly what I was hoping you'd back me up on.
Keep you on the straight and narrow.
But not quite this shitty.
Yeah.
And not quite this pervasive, and not, government sanctioned.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Mamdani is half Ugandan?
Yeah, born in Uganda, yes.
Yes, and goes back there.
Mm-hmm.
Summer home, I don't know what. But, there's no movement on the left to get him to renounce that a little. The government of Uganda is like very officially, proudly on the page of, no, we got to kill the homosexuals. It's just like it's
the brilliance of double standards. I mean, you keep score differently when you want to, and then you don't have to reconcile these ethical contradictions.
I mean, they do it obviously on the right too. I mean, this whole country is sort of run by the principle of everything is terrible until we do it.
Well,
then it's perfectly okay.
I was going to ask you, what has surprised you most in the last year? But you just indicated one of the things that surprised me most, which was after the killing of Alex Preddy, how the gun culture did not erupt in defense of the Second Amendment. I mean, because in the immediate aftermath of that killing, you had everyone from the president on down speaking. I mean, this was the president, it was J.D. Vance, it was Pam Bondi, it was Kash Patel, speaking as though the Second Amendment simply does not exist. They basically said, if you're armed near federal law enforcement, you might be killed. That was that's just the status quo in America. Accept it.
The people who you can find umpteen pictures of on the internet walking into Chipotle with a fucking assault rifle.
Right. Where were those guys?
Like they're in the Mekong Delta in 1967. They've got an assault rifle.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not officially an assault rifle. I know, gun nuts. They love to catch you on the,
An AR-50. You would, if this had happened under Biden or Kamala Harris, you would see 500 guys with AR-15s at every single ICE deployment.
Can you imagine if January 6th was a mob of black people attacking the Capitol? I cannot think. Imagine that would have been
it's quite a non-event.
As sanguine.
Yeah, right.
I truly believe they would have called out jet fighters. I would not be surprised if they would have bombed and strafed the crowd.
Well, it is amazing that more people weren't killed. I mean, that seemed like a situation where they could have just opened fire on the crowd. I mean, that could have. I think we would have drawn a very different lesson had that happened. That it would have been impossible to say it was a non-event. I mean, the fact that only one person was killed and you had that weird footage of cops basically declaring bankruptcy and just letting people in through other doors once they realized they could do nothing. that gets spun, and then you got half the country thinking, okay, this is just a completely fake event, right?
But I know you got to always love Trump with the inability to ever cover his tracks of selfishness. When he said, "They're not here to hurt me."
Right.
I mean, there's something about
yes, he says the quiet part out loud all the time. Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, it's
It's the most brilliant strategy. Nothing can really be a scandal if everything is a scandal. I was watching Gavin Newsom go through hoops lately because he said something, I'm sure you saw it. He was in Atlanta talking to the mayor, and he said, to an all-black crowd.
Yeah, I got 940 on my SAT, or I got 960 on my SAT, like you guys. I'm dumb like you. Yeah.
It's just, and of course, I really feel for any politician because they're on I've been on book tours, you've been on book tours, they're grueling. It's similar to campaigning, I guess. You do so many events a day, so many words are tumbling out of your mouth. And if you're a Democrat, and any 12 of those words are inartfully chosen, you are toast, or at least it's a scandal, and you have to answer for it. And I don't think he's saying what they're
No.
but you can make the case because we are a country of bad faith. So as long as you can hang it up there and go, look, come on, deny it. He said, okay, you got me. But Trump never has to do that. He never has to answer for that.
No.
Because he would just double down and go, yeah, and?
Well, even so, I mean, we're all kind of living and dying by clips now, and some of these clips are clearly meant to mislead, right? So people take clips of, they do it to us, they do it to Gavin Newsom, presumably. I think I only saw the clip. I didn't see the full context. But so the possibilities of distortion there are almost limitless. But the truth is, even with Trump, he doesn't pay a price for it. I mean, he's been clipped out of context to his disadvantage. But again, he's working by different physics. There's just it almost never matters. I mean, the one thing that is still dogging him, again, it doesn't matter. But if you ask most people left of center to bring to mind the scandal around Charlottesville and what Trump said in the aftermath, and when he said there are good people on both sides, and what he meant there, virtually everyone left of center thinks he was praising the neo-Nazis, and I mean they could be working at the New York Times or at the Atlantic, and they still think he was praising the neo-Nazis, and that was clipped out of context. I mean,
and see, that's where you and I think, are more similar than most people.
Yeah.
I mean, if you and I have beef, the world is in a bad place, because it would be like the old 4th century Christians when they were like, there was like those, the Aryans and the Chaldeans, and they were just arguing over like, no, Jesus' foreskin went to heaven with him, and the other side did, blasphemer, like, we're very close on these kind of things.